There's been a lot of talk of who the next face of the NBA is, and big discussions and even arguments of why it can't be a certain player or why it should be this player without a doubt. I want to take a deep dive into what makes a player an icon of the sport and what makes them marketable to the masses. In order to do this, we have to understand the criteria of a face, which I'm going to define as these 5 categories: marketability and global appeal, individual ability and team success, charisma, cultural impact, and the clutch factor. The first and most important box you have to check in order to be the face of the NBA is not just to be good, but to be undoubtedly the best, or at least one of the best players in the world for a sustained period of time. Jordan won Rookie of the Year, LeBron won Rookie of the Year, even Steph came second in the voting, and they all went on to win multiple MVPs, make numerous All-NBA and All-Star teams. Yes, they win multiple titles as well, which we will get into a bit later, but as an individual, you clearly have to dominate your field. Doing so makes you not only a fan favorite amongst adults and kids, but endorsement deals should likely follow you. You should be in all the ads and commercials. We should be seeing you on TV all the time, so that whenever we think of you or see you, we think of the NBA. Notice how I said should. This is because individual ability and accolades alone don't guarantee this. Just take a look at Jokic. He won a championship and 3 MVPs in the last 4 years, which is a historical run and a collection of accolades. But he isn't pushed like that. Why? Well, as good as he is, to the casual fan, especially kids, his style of play isn't as captivating as an MJ or a LeBron. He doesn't produce those jaw-dropping feats of athleticism, which is a turn-off for a lot of casual NBA fans. Before Jokic fans come at me, remember the majority of fans of every sport are casual, and that's who you need to appeal to, because a die-hard fan is a fan of the sport and will watch the game regardless. This is probably a big reason why big men like Jokic and Embiid aren't signed to Nike or Adidas. Big men just don't move units like guards or forwards. Kids cannot relate to them. This leads to the next point, style of play. This is intertwined with ability and consistency, because one can argue a shifty, flashy player like Jordan Poole has a very entertaining style of play, which made him a fan favorite and top 10 in jersey sales during his time in Golden State. But consistency matters, because once he was on the Wizards, you don't hear of him as much. As mentioned before, fans are most drawn towards the jaw-dropping, shifty plays or jaw-dropping athletic plays like a John Morant or an Anthony Edwards. If any of you have been at a park, one of the first questions a kid will ask you is, can you dunk? And in the comment section, let me guys know if you think I can dunk. Anyway, and if you don't have that athleticism, you better be one of the most skilled players ever, like Kyrie or Steph, who have mesmerizing styles of play, breaking down with their handles and shooting. They change how kids want to play the game and even how the entire league plays it. So far we know you have to be consistently elite and have an entertaining style of play. Team success ties into this, as you need to be able to showcase your skills on the brightest of stages. LeBron went to 8 straight finals, Curry's been to 6 finals, MJ's been to 6 finals. You can't really control what team you get drafted to, but you need to be prepared to leave like when LeBron did. So, a player like Anthony Edwards needs to be prepared to leave if things stay like that in Minnesota. Whereas Tatum can relax in Boston, as they have deep teams for years to come. Now, the next part of the video is about the intangibles, the things you can't quantify with metrics like points per game or team record. We're talking about aura. Now, this is arguably the funniest thing to discuss, because half the time it's used as some sort of joke, but to every joke there's truth, and that's what makes it funny. Google would define aura as the distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generated by a person, thing, or place. It's hard to describe, but you know when someone has it, and you all will have experienced it. For example, back in school, our head teacher had an insane aura. He was around 6'4", walks around in a big trench coat, always had shades on, and you rarely ever saw him. So whenever he would walk around the school, there would be a crazy buzz that he was in the building. It's the kind of energy you feel when you see a person and just how they carry themselves. I don't think anyone is more qualified than me to tell you about which stars have aura, because I went to watch the Olympics, Team USA, and all of the stars were on that team. And I kid you not, when I went there, aura is a real thing. When I first got into the stadium, there were 3 players warming up. I couldn't believe my eyes to what I was seeing. I was seeing LeBron James and Anthony Edwards warming up together. It was crazy to watch. Watching someone on TV and then seeing them as actual 3D or 4D person, if you will, was crazy. Now you notice that I only mentioned 2 players, because the third player was Tyrese Halliburton, He was actually the closest to us out of the three, but we simply didn't even notice him. We looked right through him. Aura is a part of what people call the it factor. You can't quite describe it, but you'll know it when someone has it. It's crazy to see Steph, KD in warm-up and even laugh on the bench. Tatum is often criticised in this area. He does have some, I'll admit, but it doesn't quite compare to the LeBron, Steph or KD. But maybe that's because they are who I grew up watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Legacy-defining moments are a big part of this too, but that takes time to build. It takes time to build a resume. So really, I'm just trying to pick who fits the criteria the most or who has the most potential to cash out. Controversy is the next category, and it's unavoidable. Not everyone is going to like you or what you have to say about certain things, but you have to be able to stay out of trouble. Some would argue that John Morant was on the perfect path to become the face, but he got involved in some, let's say, unfriendly conversations, and that actually led him to being suspended multiple times by the NBA. The NBA can't push a product that's kind of a brand risk, not family friendly or marketable towards other investors or potential sponsors. Anthony Edwards has his own set of affairs that need to be in order before he can be pushed. So you need to be or have stability before you can be pushed by the league. And that leads us to LeBron James. For the most part, he's had a clean slate, and this is especially important in the social media era where we have citizen journalism. You have to be on guard 24/7. I'd argue a lot of players in the pre-social media era wouldn't be viewed as favourable as they are today, as they can't just silence their baby mamas, as they now can just take to Twitter or Instagram now. The face is going to be a long-term investment for the NBA, and it doesn't matter if they're American. So Giannis or Jokic could have been, but unfortunately they're above 30 now, so they're a little bit too old now. They need to be available for the next 10 to 15 years guaranteed, which is why Wemby can definitely be a potential candidate. It's not just about who's the best, it's about who's in the commercials, who the league keeps posting about. For example, no matter what happens, ESPN will find a way to include LeBron in news, regardless of what the Lakers are doing, whether they're good or bad. A lot of people recognize his face and do care. So with that being said, I'm left with the very three people that you saw in the thumbnail. One has a team success, the other has undeniable and electrifying game and reminisces Michael Jordan. I think if he gets his off-court affairs in order and moves into a bigger market, he's made the conference finals and just needs some more experience. He's 23 and doesn't need to win a ring right now because the greats don't win until around 27. I think Anthony Edwards, despite not wanting it, will be your face of the league moving forward if I only had to pick one.